Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. Recent news indicates that Domantas Sabonis may leave the Sacramento Kings soon. This is due to the franchise having won only 3 games this season and beginning to consider a rebuild. Therefore, trading their star player seems increasingly inevitable, as he can still generate significant assets. Thus, the Golden State Warriors emerge as a likely destination in the negotiations for Sabonis. The San Francisco team has been searching for a center for months, as they have been improvising in that position. In this sense, the Lithuanian would be a perfect target, as he would have the ability to form a strong duo with Stephen Curry and lead the team to championship contention. Ex-NBA player predicts Warriors are inevitable landing spot for Kings star. Article heading into the 2025 to 2026 NBA season, Jonathan Kuminga was viewed as a potential trade block candidate for the Golden State Warriors. Considering the contract drama that took place over the summer, many have assumed it could only be a matter of time before Kuminga and the Warriors part ways. In the eyes of the former All-Star Jeff Teague, he believes that scenario will play out soon enough. "Time to go," Teague said of Kuminga earlier this week. "Time to go." Teague's comments came after the Warriors had Kuminga come off the bench for the first time this season. Through his first 12 games of the season, Kuminga averaged 29 minutes of playing time as a starter. Against the San Antonio Spurs, Kuminga came off the bench for 12 minutes in the 125-120 win. Lately, Kuminga has been dealing with a setback, which kept him off the court entirely on November 14 in a rematch against the Spurs. Teague and the Club 520 show seem to think that Kuminga's role will remain minimized, since the Warriors have won back-to-back games with Kuminga in a diminished role. "He's going to start at Sacramento. Sabonis is on his way," Teague stated. Kuminga to the Kings. As Kuminga and the Warriors were having stalled contract discussions over the summer, the Sacramento Kings were viewed as potential sign-and-trade candidates for the veteran forward on multiple occasions. Eventually, Kuminga agreed to a short-term deal with the Warriors, which prevents him from getting traded until after the new year. While the Kings backed off, they are known to have their eyes on Kuminga still. Sacramento could be the ideal landing spot for the forward. In his 12 games as a starter, Kuminga has made 48% of his shots from the field, scoring 14.9 points per game. He also averaged 6.8 rebounds per game and 3.1 assists. Since landing in the league in 2021, Kuminga has been a valuable piece for Golden State. However, it's evident he wants an increased role, and it's not exactly clear if the Warriors can give him that, considering they have a handful of core players on the roster who are higher on the pecking order. Kuminga's trade market won't open until later on in the year, but Teague is confident that scenario will be something to keep an eye on as the season plays out. If Kuminga gets moved, Teague seems to believe that Sabonis just might be in the mix. Warriors' surprising developments will eventually force breakout star off team. Last Wednesday night's game against the San Antonio Spurs, the Golden State Warriors gave them just their 3rd loss of the season. It isn't a coincidence that in that same game, they decided to go with a much different-looking rotation. Rookie Will Richard got the start for the Dubs, but it was one other player that Peter O'Keefe of Blue Man Hoop believes will be the reason the Warriors are forced to make a big trade this season. Moses Moody's hot shooting to start the season not only pushed Jonathan Kuminga out of Steve Kerr's starting lineup on Wednesday night, but he might also be forcing his fellow 2021 lottery pick off the team completely if this maintains until the midseason deadline, O'Keefe said Thursday. Just 2 weeks after Steve Kerr confirmed he'd be a starter going forward, Kuminga was removed from the starting lineup against the San Antonio Spurs on Wednesday night after a string of underwhelming individual and team performances. O'Keefe believes Moody's scorching start is bad news for Jonathan Kuminga. Moses Moody has opened this season as an excellent three-point shooter with a staggering 44% from deep. Not only that, but he has become much more comfortable and confident in creating his own shot, and also requires attention on the offensive side of the ball, which has helped open up the rest of the Warriors' offense. For instance, in Wednesday's game against the Spurs, Curry scored 46 points, and while Moody had 19, it was clear the Spurs' defense had no choice but to respect Moody offensively. To pour more salt on the wound, Jonathan Kuminga got bumped to the bench and only played 12 minutes, recording 0 points in Wednesday night's victory. Between his recent struggles and the off-season drama, Moody's breakout this season may be the final straw that could lead to Kuminga being traded from the team. Moses Moody scores 32 as Warriors cruise past Pelicans 122-106. Moses Moody hit a career-high 8 three-pointers and scored a career-high 32 points, and the Golden State Warriors beat New Orleans 124-106 on Sunday night in what was also James Borrego's debut as Pelicans interim coach. Jimmy Butler added 18 points and 10 assists for the Warriors, who led by as many as 25 points in the second half and whose arrival in New Orleans a day earlier coincided with Pelicans' firing of fifth-year coach Willie Green. Brandon Podziemski scored 19 points, Al Horford added 11 points and Draymond Green grabbed 10 rebounds during a performance in which he also had a brief confrontation with a fan along the baseline. Trey Murphy III scored 20 for New Orleans, while Jose Alvarado added 18 points and Jeremiah Fears 17. Golden State shot 42.9%, 24 of 56, from three-point range, while the Pelicans went just 8 of 29, 27.6%, from deep. And the Warriors won comfortable despite Stephen Curry, who'd scored 46 and 49 points in his previous two games, going an uncharacteristic 2 of 11 shooting for 9 points. The Warriors opened up a 17-point lead in the first quarter, when Moody hit 7 threes, setting his career high from deep for an entire game. The Pelicans were able to trim their deficit back to single digits in the second quarter, however, pulling to 53-49 on Herb Jones' free throws, capping a 10-0 run that also included Murphy's dunk and 2 layups by Fears. Moments before Jones' free throws, Green got into a near chest-to-chest verbal exchange with a fan on the baseline near the Golden State goal. Officials pulled Green away without calling a foul, while ushers converged on the fan and spoke to him briefly without ejecting him. Meanwhile, the Warriors closed the half with 8 straight points, capped by Butler's steal and breakaway dunk to put Golden State up 61-49 at halftime. Warriors have a painfully obvious trade decision after Steve Kerr's lineup choice. This one is trending towards being a no-brainer. Coming into this season, the fate of Jonathan Kuminga was a key storyline to watch for the Golden State Warriors. After he was recently benched by head coach Steve Kerr, it seems the franchise now has a clear decision when it comes to their young forward. The Warriors have had a roller coaster start to the season, and the same can be said for Kuminga. He began the season looking very strong, earning a place in the starting lineup and looking like a player who would belong, mesh and contribute to the opening unit. Warriors have increasingly obvious Jonathan Kuminga trade decision. However, as Kuminga started to struggle, so too did the Warriors begin to look worse and worse. Part of this had to do with Stephen Curry missing some games due to illness, but Kuminga's poor play was difficult to ignore. After the Warriors got destroyed by the Oklahoma City Thunder, comments by veteran players Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler were interpreted by some as a subtle swipe at Kuminga. Seemingly as a response, Kerr benched Kuminga in the first of back-to-back games against the San Antonio Spurs, and Kuminga was unable to go in the second game against the Spurs due to knee issues. The Warriors looked like a vintage version of themselves in those games. Sure, a big part of that had to do with Curry putting up 45-plus points in each game, yet the explosive performances of the 2x MVP might have also had to do with the lineups that were out there with him. There was a debate over this between Bay Area sports reporter Tim Kawakami and Kuminga's agent Aaron Turner. There are points to be made on both sides, but Kawakami's debate is that in big games that matter the most, Kerr's decision to ice out Kuminga speaks volumes. Green defended Kuminga recently and said that too much is made over whether a guy starts or comes off the bench, which may be true, but it is worth noting that Kuminga played just 12 minutes in the first half last time out. Part of that may have had to do with the knee issue, yet we have a history of Kerr and the Warriors feeling they are stronger without him as part of the rotation. If it's true that Golden State have reached that conclusion, then it seems obvious that they need to trade Kuminga soon after he becomes eligible on January 15. The 23-year-old can be a great player under the right circumstances, but if he cannot consistently help the Warriors at the end of Curry's tenure with the team, then it's time to move on to someone that can. Why Steve Kerr was angry at Buddy Hield and the Warriors despite blowout win versus Pelicans. Steve Kerr was not happy with the Golden State Warriors despite their comfortable win over the New Orleans Pelicans, expressing his frustration with the team's performance in the fourth quarter. With their victory over the Pelicans, the Warriors extended their winning streak to 3 games, improving their NBA season record to 9-6. Moses Moody stepped up for Kerr's side, dropping 32 points and hitting 8 of his 12 attempts from three-point range. The Broncos emerge as clear favorite to win AFC West. Although Stephen Curry put up a 49-point performance against San Antonio recently, he struggled last night, finishing with just 9 points on 4 for 18 shooting from the field. The result was never in doubt by the fourth quarter, but that did not stop Kerr from letting his team know about his frustrations over how they closed out the game. This time, Buddy Hield was at the center of it after a late turnover. Steve Kerr was furious that the Golden State Warriors did not maintain energy level late in the game. With just over 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, the Warriors held a comfortable 22-point lead. However, Hield's inbounds pass to Pat Spencer was intercepted, and Kerr's frustration was clear as he shouted at Hield and the rest of the team from the sideline. After the game, the coach spoke to reporters about his frustration with late-game errors. He stressed that even when holding a big lead, this type of mistake can come back to bite them. "We can't be careless. We're taking the ball out. There's no way we should turn the ball over. We had won the other night, and it almost cost us in San Antonio." Kerr continued, "It's a team-wide thing, 21 turnovers. We know if we want to compete at the highest level, we have to be a lot better." Golden State Warriors starting to click after slow start. The Golden State Warriors have now won 3 games in a row and appear to be building some momentum early in the season. Following their defeat to the Oklahoma City Thunder, which highlighted several areas of concern, the team has responded well by addressing those issues in recent games. Draymond Green was vocal about his frustrations following the loss, and it seems his words had an impact on the locker room. The team has looked more focused since then. The question now is whether they can maintain this level over a longer stretch. When they are locked in, few teams can match them. It is up to Steve Kerr to keep that consistency going. Draymond Green blasts critics after Jonathan Kuminga benching sparks noise. Pushing back on what he sees as tired narratives surrounding the young forward's role. The back-and-forth began after Kuminga and Brandon Podziemski were shifted to the bench during Golden State's recent back-to-back set in San Antonio, a move that reignited speculation about Kuminga's happiness. Green pointed to a growing wave of online chatter that framed Kuminga as a scapegoat following Golden State's 6-6 start. As he put it, "Obviously, I think JK has been playing really well. So to go out of the starting lineup, it kind of sucks," Green shared on the Draymond Green Show. "But I think also people make starting and coming off the bench sometimes more than what it really is. I know everyone loves a good drama. Everybody's saying, 'Oh man, he's being the scapegoat,' and this, that and all that. There's no scapegoat. We're 13 games in. Ironically, all the people that start running around saying scapegoat are people that never won. So you think there's a scapegoat needed. But in Game 12, when you know what it takes to win a championship, there's no scapegoat. In Game 12, also when you're not front runners and you're champions, there's no scapegoat anyway. Decisions are just kind of made, and you move on and you make the best decision that you think is going to put you in position to win." And so I found it very funny hearing a lot of people that never won and some losers say, "Oh man, he's being scapegoated," like, only bad teams and losers panic in Game 12 of an 82-game season with 70 games left. "I know JK was questionable to see if he was going to play last night, and he ended up not playing because he wasn't really feeling it," Green shared. But of course, people are going to create drama and say Kuminga didn't come out after halftime because he was mad he didn't play. Unfortunately, guys, I live this thing. So I know a few more things that y'all don't know. And I know JK was questionable because his knees were sore before OKC. Voila. Oh my god. It's not what y'all thought. It's unbelievable. Look at that. How about this? JK has been one of the most bought-in guys on the team all year. How about that? Oh my god, he's not the king a hole and baby that y'all try to make him out to be, and think he's always complaining. How about that? JK has made it very clear he wants to be an all-star. He thinks he has all-star potential, and he wants to fulfill that. He's made that very clear, 1000% we all know that. So when you feel like things aren't quite going your way to allow it, that you're going to be upset as a competitor, of course. Kid works his ass off. Of course, you want to feel some type of way. Who would want someone that doesn't feel any type of way? Great. I'll show you a loser right to your face. So I found that very interesting. You all just kind of try to take whatever you want and spin it, and I'm here to tell you that you never have to do that with my words. What Steve Kerr said about Draymond Green incident with Pelicans fan heckler. Golden State Warriors head coach Steve Kerr addressed the latest Draymond Green sideline flare-up on Sunday night, offering a measured response after the veteran forward got into a heated exchange with a New Orleans Pelicans fan. The moment unfolded during the Warriors' 124-106 win, a game that pushed Golden State to 9-6 on the season. After the game, Steve Kerr spoke about the confrontation but noted that his understanding of what was said was still incomplete. As long as it doesn't escalate, it's fine, for a player, to go over and have a discussion, Kerr said. It would have been nice if security had gotten there a little bit earlier. Midway through the contest, Green approached a courtside fan who he believed was mocking him, leading to a tense face-to-face confrontation. Security and team officials stepped in quickly, but not before the two exchanged pointed words just inches apart. The incident drew immediate attention online, especially given Green's long-running reputation for on-court intensity and emotional fire. Kerr emphasized that without knowing the exact comments exchanged, he couldn't give a definitive judgment. Still, he made it clear that moments like these walk a fine line, especially with how close fans sit to the action in today's NBA arenas. Green, who has never shied away from confrontation when he feels disrespected, appeared to take particular issue with the fans' remarks. His teammates and officials intervened before things escalated, and play resumed without further trouble. No ejections or technical fouls were issued. For the Warriors, the victory was a welcome one as they continue trying to build consistency in the early part of the season. But Green's latest exchange highlights an ongoing league-wide conversation about player-fan interactions, the limits of courtside behavior, and the emotional demands placed on players in competitive environments. While Kerr downplayed the situation, the Warriors will undoubtedly keep an eye on any follow-up from the league office. For now, both sides appear to have avoided major consequences, but the moment was another reminder of how quickly emotions can flare in high-stakes NBA environments.